WFDF. This is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. It is Friday, May 8th, 2020, and we're discussing the history and origins of the Confederate battle flag, the Confederate flag, swastika, and other things, and what's going on today.
You hear it all the time. If you don't, you shouldn't. Michael.
Imhotep. Yes, Michael Imhotep. How you doing? Host of the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the superstation WFDF in Detroit.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Lavonia, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Michael.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. How you doing?
All right, sister, how you doing? This is Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the superstation WFDF in Detroit. The African History Network. Elementary Genocide, Part 3.
Talk about the history, the implications, the symbolism behind really some serious, how can I say, details, issues. And there's a lot of history behind the Confederate flag.
Right. What we're dealing with. Right.
It brings up all kinds of scary things in people's minds. So tell us a little bit about what you have found thus far. Then we're going to go and grab, you know how 910 is. We're going to grab some of those listeners so they can express how they feel too.
Well, we should be scared, and these are scary times. And the traitor-in-chief is encouraging these white supremacists like the ones we saw up in Lansing, Michigan, and the ones we saw participating in a lot of these protests, trying to force governors, basically Democratic governors, to prematurely open back up the states. Okay. And they're using symbols of hate, and a lot of these symbols, they don't understand what they are. So when we look at what people call the Confederate flag, right, we have to understand the Civil War, and we have to understand from the beginning that that's not the Confederate flag. That's what Europeans and white supremacists call the Confederate flag, but actually it's the Confederate battle flag of Northern Virginia under General Robert E. Lee's army, General Robert E. Lee of Virginia. Okay, there were three flags that flew over the Confederate States of America, the CSA, the Confederacy, from 1861 to 1865. That flag was never one of them. That flag was created in about 1863 by a politician named William Porcher Miles. And what's taking place is, so you have to understand the history of slavery. You have to understand the Civil War. Okay. And let me say this from the beginning. Most Americans are woefully ignorant of history. And because they're woefully ignorant of history, then they can be lied to and operate based upon the lies. And this is what we see taking place. Okay. A lot of those white supremacists that we saw who wanted to claim freedom, and Donald Trump tweets, liberate Michigan, liberate these other states. Many of them are going to get coronavirus, and they're not going to have health insurance, and there won't be hospitals for them to go get treatment. But because they're operating largely based upon a lie, they're siding with someone who doesn't even care about them. Okay. So this is the lie of white supremacy. How the European elite sacrificed their own people to move ahead. So right now, Donald Trump's Department of Justice is in court trying to repeal the entire Affordable Health Care Act and kick 20 million people off of health care. Well, most of the people who got health care were white. A lot of them poor white people who voted for Trump. Okay, so they're going to lose their health care. It gave health care to 3 million African Americans who were non-elderly who did not already have health care, right? So when we look at the Confederate States of America, We see that South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union December 20th, 1860. Okay. The Civil War is going to start April 12th, 1860. The South Carolina is seceding from the Union because they think that Abraham Lincoln is going to free the enslaved Africans, and they see it as an attack on states' rights. We see that the first Confederate, well, it's actually the Confederate flag. The first Confederate flag was called the Stainless Banner, okay? And that existed from basically actually, if we go back to the first one, the Stars and Bars, I should say, the Stars and Bars, that exists from 1861 to 1863. The Stars and Bars was similar to the U.S. flag at that time, the Stars and Stripes. And the Stars and Bars consisted of two broad horizontal red stripes and one white broad horizontal red stripe. And then we see 7 stars in a circle representing the at the time the 7 states in the Confederacy. And they had the blue background, which was similar to the Stars and Stripes or the US flag. But that flag is going to have to be changed. And the reason why is because on the battlefield of the Civil War, when there are bullets flying and there's smoke, it was hard to tell the Stars and Bars of the Confederacy from the Stars and Stripes of the Union. So they had to change that flag. So then they come out with the second flag, the second Confederate flag, which existed from 1863 to 1865. And that one was called the Stainless Banner. And what the Stainless Banner is a big white flag, but it has what's called the canton, C-A-N-T-O-N. The canton was the symbol of what people today believe is the Confederate flag. That canton, it has the blue St. Andrew's cross, and it has 13 white stars. Huh? Did you say something? Yeah. So it has the blue St. Andrew's cross, and it has the 13 white stars. The 13 white stars represented the 13 states of the Confederacy. Okay. So that's the flag that we see on the Dukes of Hazzard car on the TV show, the Dukes of Hazzard, the General Lee, right? Which is a whole, I mean, when you go through and look at that TV show, right? And you look, the name of the car is named after a brutal white supremacist slave owner who committed treason against the Union and took up arms against the Union to maintain slavery. His name was General Robert E. Lee. That's who the car is named after, the General Lee. And then on top of the General Lee is General Robert E. Lee's Confederate battle flag, which people believe is the Confederate flag. That's right in the TV show. We saw it every week and didn't really understand the history of what we were saying. But that's a whole nother conversation. Go ahead.
behalf of the Children of Poverty Law Center for over 15 years, and she was also served as the outreach of the Sister Stand Civil Rights Memorial Center, which honors 40+ martyrs of the civil rights movement. I'm sure that 40 number has changed. She's on the line too, and I want to welcome her.
Okay.
I want to thank you so very much for joining us all the way from, if I'm correct, Alabama. Montgomery, Alabama. Thanks so much for having me. Montgomery, Alabama. One of the things we do here is the show is only as popular and only I make sure that the listeners really share with our guests how they feel about the issue. And I have a number of people on the line. If you guys can bear with me, Michael is here. I want to really start so you can hear what they're saying.
Okay.
How they feel about the short sleeve and the Confederate flag and the hanging noose. I
What?
want to start with Vicky. Vicky Dobbins. Thank you so very much for waiting. And everybody and thank you for joining me. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me, Lavonia. Again, this is Vicki Robinson. I'm just recovering from coronavirus. And I like to say to all those people who go out to ranches with big guns and they want to fight the government, let me tell you something. This virus is nothing to play with. And until your family members continue catch this virus, you may evidently be not going to know what it's all about. So, another thing I want to say is myself and Teresa Landrum, we went to Lansing not too long ago for a convention. And before you could get in, you had to go through the sensor thing, okay? So we beat it all. They would pull us to the side, and if you had anything metal detector would point it out to the guys there. So my question is, how is it that all those people could get in with guns and bullets and weapons and that, and Teresa and I couldn't even get in with a fingernail file? Right, well, you know what, we're going to try to answer that. We have a call off with the sheriff's department, the mayor of the Lansing, and other people who are responsible for the protection of the people who live in that area and who work in the Capitol. And trust me on this, we're going to find out. And I thank you so very much for calling. Thank you so very much. And I'm so glad you're feeling better, you sound better. I want you to always know that we're thinking about you. Thank you, and thank you. All righty. We have another caller. We got several of them. We went on to Derek. Thank you for calling. Question or comment? Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. First of all, let's give a little more hello to Montgomery, Alabama, who is a new, really the epicenter of civil rights and awareness when it comes to hanging and civil rights groups. The Law Property Center is not just the Law Property Center. They're the ones who do all the tracking of the hate groups, of the civil rights groups, of what we're going through, what we're suffering through. If you've never been to Montgomery and Birmingham and you call yourself a strong black mama and daddy, you need to flex your muscles and get to Montgomery and see the Lynching Museum, the Legacy Museum, the Dexter Avenue, the walk that they took, the walk that Martin King took, the passage, Church Passage, which is right around the corner from this Law Property Center, which is not only a fighter for civil rights, and we're talking about it was primarily started by white lawyers who have kept the banner and Christian. I think one of them became a preacher.
Julian Bond.
I can't say enough for you educating us on the flag, brother, because we just don't understand what we don't know. And if
Correct.
we don't understand it, don't know it, we stay ignorant to the fact of what it brings to the table, what it means to somebody else to the table. You don't have to mean anything to you. But what you got to understand, when it gives power to other people, it gives them energy to hate you. And that's the part that we need. It ain't about whether or not it's affected me today or whether or not it happened 50 years ago. I used to tell people, they say, ask 300 years ago. I said, no, as a black man, I was seconds ago sometimes, 30 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. And I can't say enough of traveling around the country with President Obama and outside of each one of those rallies.
Mm-hmm.
Hate groups and people with hate signs. And I keep telling you that because I'm out. When my book come out, every rally they had a 400 and a 600-pound white man or woman with a T-shirt on it with derogatory pictures of President Obama and Mr. Obama.
Right.
We have got to wake up, even when it comes to the stimulus stuff and when it comes to the unemployment. And I hate to think that we keep saying we ain't getting our share of the money, but we keep getting counted in the census. I really wish, and I ain't trying to hate on nobody, I really wish you would hold back all our counts across America for black. And say, look, black Congress, Congress, until you give us accountability for our schools, for our streets, our neighborhood, why do we fight for money that we ain't gonna get a share of? I mean, I'm not trying to take
Well, let me just interject this quickly.
They have to come back to the neighborhood. And Kobe, y'all got a team together and said, look, y'all please let us in. This is what we're going to do. And that's what George Crockett and John Conyers were the Congress people, and they stressed the point up there in Congress. But we got the money to up there. We didn't have any problem giving money to local organizations and local block clubs. And now you got to fight to get that money. And then we say one more thing before I go home. Gary, we want to stay on the issue. I'll get you. Because you're giving us a lot of history. But I want to go on to make sure that we stay where we're focused on. But here's the information about all of this. And we're with you all the way. I'll get you. I'll get you very much. I'll say this one more thing. One more. As we mentioned, because on the front page of my paper this week is Brian Stevenson, who won the Energy Awards. When we're showcasing almost 8 pages of Energy Award winners. And we got to remember, it's more than entertainment. It's about in our intellectual community, and the rest of Brian Stevenson is the founder of the Legacy Museum and the Lynching Museum in Montgomery as well. Thank you, goodbye. Thanks so very much, Gary, for listening and calling in. We've got a couple more callers, and then we're going to get directly to our guest, and we're going to let them go from here. We have, like I said, the Ted Brooks. She is with the Southern Poverty Law Center, and we have Michael
Imhotep, IMHOTEP.
The family member of John Ken. He's a researcher. He's a wonderful historian. We're going to make sure that we get back to them, but I want to make sure that we get our last 2 callers in so far. We got many others on the line. The next caller is Willie Knapp, and then we got Brandon Bryce. Willie, thank you so very much for calling. Question or comment?
Thank you so much, Tony, for letting me share some things of insight. First of all, that was not a demonstration. That was an agenda that they had. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
And we spoke before, I'm really curious where those people came from. And I'm pretty sure it's in the same area where a lot of the Klan, what was the bomber's name that blew up the government building with fertilizer? This area, they can go and do anything they want. Protesting about coming out. If they can come to Lansing with guns, all kind of paraphernalia of hate, and then get pictures taken with the state police and a senator, it's appalling. And I'm curious, what are the black legislators in Lansing are talking about as far as just making a statement that this whole affair is so appalling to black people? Someone needs to come up and step forward and just say something. There's complete silence in Lansing. Complete silence.
How do you feel about the images that were depicted during the protest? That's what we want. How do you feel about that? Do you think it matters or not?
It matters a great deal because why would you bring images like that if you just want to come outside or you want to go back to work? That was nothing but pure hate. It had nothing to do with what they said they were protesting. That was just pure hate. That's all it was hate. And the truth that they were sprouting. It's like, well, if you want to prove what that was that a form of intimidation. Just as Reverend Anthony spoke yesterday when he was on the show, and he talked about those were terrorist acts. And that was a form of intimidation. But the amazing thing about it, they're not intimidating. They're acting. Well, there were some people that were really traumatized by what did happen, though. I can imagine. I wish I was up there. And the people that I know, they burned crosses on military bases when I was in service. But they only burned them one time. And this wasn't just isolated incidents. If we go back in history, there were race wars in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
The largest race war was in Saigon, and no one knows anything about it. So as far as being intimidated, I'm pissed off. They can't intimidate me or any other black males that have been over this country and out of this country. That's unheard of. And it's laughable to me because it's like what they're doing to their plane. And when you really want to be real, then things change when the rabbit has to go.
Right.
Yes, go ahead, Lucille.
Okay. Thank you so much for your comment. I just want to offer a little bit of perspective from the Southern Poverty Law Center. As the commenter mentioned earlier, we track and monitor these hate extremist groups and anti-government groups as well. So I just want the listeners to know that though these might look like they're spontaneous demonstrations, they most certainly are not. Many of them are organized by wealthy, right-wing activists, including the War Family, GRR, which draws hundreds and thousands of dollars each year into operating pro-gun and anti-abortion groups. This was a coordinated effort. Also, it's important to note that the Michigan Freedom Fund that was in Lansing has been linked to the Family Education Secretary, Eddie DeVos. These people use any excuse to exert their agenda. They seek to create chaos, and they do. You may not be intimidated, but they are creating chaos. And especially these anti-government people are using it as a way to assert their message, in addition to the message of white supremacy, but also in addition to an anti-government movement that's happening at the state and federal level.
Lucille, you are absolutely correct. One of the things that people need to understand, and I want to be heard from her, and I'm going to support her. I live in D.C., moved at the White House. I was at the House Rayburn Building, Senate, the House side. I was there. I'm telling you, nothing at this level that we're talking about, even how many signs, posters, how many children, how many people, all of this is orchestrated, organized, not only at the local level. As I told you guys earlier, I'm talking about the Michigan Conservative Coalition. Do you know, Lucille, that one of the co-founders of the organization is a sitting state senator, Matthew Maddox, is a sitting Michigan state senator. After the rally, he went out to the people who really bum rushed the state senators and everybody else. He went out there and congratulated the group and said, "Oh, I'm glad you're so peaceful. It is wonderful," etc. This is a sitting senator of the state of Michigan who is there now. Matthew Maddox, he and his wife are co-founders. And he said the other organization is involved. It is about money. There's no way on the planet that you can have 9 or inorganic events going on without money, the travel, etc., etc., etc. So I want people to understand. And then when the symbols show up, you have to understand why. What's the purpose? It is for a form of intimidation. Surely we would sit here and understand everything. We might not be in fear. But I heard from a senator, state representative, Brenda Carter, said she was scared. She was there, and those were her words. So the fear Brooks from the Confederate Flag History, you are absolutely correct. And you've been doing it for a long time in terms of tracking. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you for the conversation, and thanks for all the callers.
But you know, Lavonia, Lucille, Michael, the other thing too that we have to be careful of is that they're also talking about another rally next week. If I'm not mistaken, it's either the 14th or 15th of next week. So we also have to make certain that we don't have anything to clear up from that to where our lives that could be lost or could be taken as a result of the rally that they're talking about organizing, like you said, with this next week as well.
And there is, for everyone will know, there is a plan for a march next week. My position is, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not going to that. There should not be we should not know about a plan for a march next week, and we have not shut it down. That I don't do. There's enough legislators up there, there's enough rules and regulations, there's enough laws on the book to shut it down before it happens. And shame on us if we do not confront this situation. Shame on us. And that's where I am in terms of this. That's why I wanted to have these two individuals on Michael to talk about recording on the December series. That's the easy part. To use that as a form of intimidation, like it or not, it is a form. He's talking about continuing a protest about a shut-in that people were carrying to fear and Michael, the swamp kickers, signs, Confederate flag, blue children and blessings, and they had the hanging news. Now, why was that brought to there? Can somebody answer that question for me?
Because many of them are white supremacists, and what they're doing is they're encouraged by Donald Trump, and this is what happens when you have a mentally deranged white supremacist president who is feeling when he's been emboldened for some time since he's been in office, but he's gotten worse, and they're doing this with his blessing. Okay. They're doing this with his blessing. So it's a form of intimidation, but also they're bringing guns, but not just any old type of guns. They're bringing military style assault rifles, okay, to show this, to show their force and to try to intimidate people. Now, at the same time, personally, people may disagree with me, but personally, these idiots are up there with no masks. Personally, the chickens are going to come home to roost on them. I have no sympathy for them. A lot of them, just like today, it was announced that one of the aides to Vice President Mike Pence has coronavirus. Katie Miller. Her husband is the white supremacist Stephen Miller, who was an aide to Senator Jeff Sessions. Stephen Miller's mentor when Stephen Miller was at Duke University was Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer is the man who coined the term alt-right. So when you know stuff like this happens, you know, some of this, hey, this the chickens coming home to roost on some of this right here. Now, you know, go ahead.
Maybe you can help us figure this out. Is it following up? I mean, all of a sudden, like it might be because of Trump, now that they feel the vote they can do, or has it been going on and it's steady, rising, and it didn't start yesterday? How long has it been to bust out with all the symbols and the attitude? Because see, the guy, we need to say it out loud. If it was only about the shut-in, and going back to work would be one thing. But the messages which are symbols is not messages about a shovel. And you can speak to this and Martin Cantor. But remember now, the protest was billed as a protest about shoveling. But the messages within the group is about, I do not like black people.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Lavonia Perryman Show, the 910AM supervision. You want to join in on the conversation like Andrew Rice and others? The phone number is 313-778-7600. Those symbols are messages, and I want to know what they mean. I have to be on the line, and they can help me do that. And are they going to box them and show up everywhere in the country? And why do that have to these messages?
All right, guys, stand by. Again, we're on break. We're on break. I'm gonna try to call in through Skype, and stand by, everybody. How's everybody? Everybody should be able to hear me. Let me see something here. Let me try to call in to the radio show through Skype. And let's see here. Stand by. Is this working? Hey, this is Michael Imhotep. I'm calling in through my Skype line. I'm trying to see if this is clearer because I was on my cell phone and had it on speakerphone. I think this is clearer than me calling in using speakerphone on my cell phone. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this now. I'm gonna hang up the other line. Okay, thanks.
From London with a place for mom.
Right,
over the years, we've helped thousands of families find senior care, and today's senior living communities have never been better, with amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And nobody understands your options like the advisors at A Place for Mom. These are local expert advisors that will partner with you to find the perfect place and determine the right level of care, whether that's just a helping hand or full-time memory care. Best of all, it's a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Call A Place for Mom right now to get our free ebook on financing senior care, as well as a free referral for senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-436-2907. That's 1-800-436-2907.
Let me see what happens if I mute
So you decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's Independence. That's Independence University. And all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. Independence U for an independent you.
Call 1-800-556-7791. You owe more than $10,000 to the IRS until you may qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. The Fresh Start program is one of the biggest tax breaks the IRS has offered. Call Tax Group Center at 800-685-6150 to see if you qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. Their team of tax experts and attorneys will get you the best tax settlement possible. Call 800-685-6150 now to learn if you qualify for the IRS's Fresh Start program. Call Tax Group Center at 800-685-6150. 800-685-6150.
I'm still getting used to the way the
910 AM live stream can now be seen on Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, YouTube Red, iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle phone. Watch us live at 910amsuperstation.com. You are listening to 910 AM Superstation. The best in the city. WFDF Farmington Hills, Detroit, 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media.
I want to welcome you back to 910 AM Superstation. We have so many people on the line, and that's a good thing. A good thing. If you're on the line, stay on the line. But I want to make sure I get back to Lucia Brooks, who is with the Southern Poverty Law Center for some time, and she has been monitoring for 15 years hate and bigotry in this country and sometimes probably around the world. Lucia, let me ask you this, and Michael, I want to ask you this later.
All right.
Is there a situation that is growing? What's happening in the country right now?
Thank you so much. I want to respond to the question you asked before the break. Like, is this new? The short answer is no. But as the commenter mentioned earlier, people have been emboldened since Trump began his presidential campaign. And when he won, it really emboldened them to be able to say any bigoted, hateful thing that they wanted to, because they knew that he would not call them out, and he would, in fact, support their efforts.
Right.
You go to Charlottesville, where you have the biggest act of white supremacy that's reminiscent of Klan rallies in the South during the 50s, and he has nothing to say about that. So they are following his lead and know that they won't be called out. They know that. So one of the things that I wanted to mention too is that what's growing amongst extremists, we found that their reaction. I'm sorry.
they're reacting to the shift in demographics. It started with President Obama, which for them was a symbol of, oh God, I knew this was going to happen. They're taking over. So when you see a shift in demographics and race where whites no longer hold a numerical majority, they know that, they hear that, and they're trying kind of to the last-ditch effort to reassert their supremacy over Black folks and people of color more broadly. So we see this in the anti-government movement. We see this in the white supremacist movement. And as I mentioned before the break, they are using things like this to sow chaos, to assert them, to not only assert white supremacy, because we saw symbols of the Confederacy, we saw symbols of Nazi Germany, we saw symbols of lynching, and all of these things, it's no coincidence that you see all those symbols at the same time together and always on the same side. So I want to say to people who say, oh, symbols of the Confederacy, it's about heritage, it's not about hate. Why then do your symbols show up at the same places on the same side as white supremacist symbols? And why in Michigan, of all places, are you flying the battle flag of the Confederacy? So again, I think that they're using these opportunities to assert and reassert themselves, which is what the Southern Poverty Law Center found in our report, Heritage. That's what these symbols are, this iconography of the Confederacy is all about. These monuments, these flags, these schools named after so-called Confederate heroes, as Michael mentioned earlier, really traitors to the Union. No other country on the planet honors people who stood up against the government and who fought enslaved human beings, but the USA. So we say that all symbols, all Confederate iconography needs to be taken out of public space because it ignores and erases and invalidates the very real experiences of African Americans who our ancestors were enslaved by these very people that they wanted to venerate.
Yeah, let me.
Lisa, I know that you have to leave us soon, but can you give your contact information if somebody wanted to ask or get more information from you? Definitely appreciate all the information that you and Michael have been sharing with us. But I know you've got to cut the conversation with us shortly. But can you, Lisa, give us your contact information so we can get in touch with you?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for inviting it. It's splcenter.org, Southern Poverty Law Center, splcenter.org. You can find everything on our website, information about our hate maps, about hate and extremist groups across the country, including Michigan. And if there are any reports of symbols of the Confederacy in Michigan, we haven't found any yet, but maybe you all have seen them. Send an email to Confed Symbols, CONFED, symbols at splcenter.org. Find your way to the website. You can find me. Send me an email. I'm happy to help in any way I can. And I just, before I go, I want to just support Lavonia in encouraging Michiganians, is that what you call yourself? Michiganians? To stand up and demand that protest, that this should be called off. That is on us. I appreciate the passion and the wisdom that has gone forth on this conversation. Take that to your state legislatures, and you get there before they do and tell them that you want that shut down. And you demand that they do.
And it can be done. I keep telling people, if we have information, and this is about to go down, and we know it is not right, we know for the majority of the people, be they black or white, that we are responsible to do something about it. There are laws on the books that we can use. There are people sitting in the House and the Senate, in the local level. There are governors, there are mayors, there are civil rights leaders, there are regular people. You and I, we can do something about this. Let me ask the last question of you, dear. I know you got to go. Should we, because this came up in one of the conversations in the legislature, should we be afraid? I'm going to ask ask the question because some people are terrified. So,
who are you asking? Who are you asking the question to? Say again.
Michael.
Oh, you asking me? Well, yeah. Well, it's two things. One, we should be afraid. Two, we should be vigilant. Three, we need to vote Trump out of office and his cronies, like Moscow Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. You got about 20 Republican senators who are up for re-election November 3rd, 2020. Many of them have been silent or they are enabling Trump. OK, if they did their job February 5th and February 6th of 2020 and removed him from office, because what he did, his July 25th, 2019 call to Vladimir Zelensky of the new president of Ukraine, what he did, that call and the actions behind that were worthy of him being removed from office. OK, if they had done their job, we wouldn't be dealing with a lot of this stuff going on right now. OK, so they continue to aid and abet him. But also we also have to understand a lot of people. So, we saw the sister who's a state representative. She was escorted by armed African-American men exercising their Second Amendment right. She was escorted to work at the state capitol. OK, so we have to understand that Second Amendment applies to African Americans also. We just have to be cautious in how we use that and operate within the law. But we also have to protect ourselves as well.
No, that's happening. And Michael, you don't have to accept that. As soon as black folks show up armed, it's the same thing that happened in Berkeley with the Black Panthers. So if that's what it takes to kind of get them to stand down, then we
had to be cautious, but they did it already. They did it already. It's being reported all across the country. I'm looking at the article here from yahoo.com. Armed activists escort black lawmaker to Michigan's Capitol after coronavirus protests attended by white supremacists. So,
I did see that. And I prayed for State Representative Anthony's safety, and I appreciate it too. Right.
Sarah Anthony. Representative Sarah Anthony, State Representative Sarah Anthony of the state of Michigan, right? But I'm just talking about protect ourselves in general. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we just.
Another caller on the line before we let you go back to Alabama, Montgomery. We have this Attorney Bill Notes on the line, and he has a point or comment that he would like to share with you, Mrs. Bruce, because he might be down there with you all shortly. Bill Notes. Question or comment, and thank you for joining the show. Bill Notes, is he on the line? Mr. Bill Notes, is he not?
If we can't get Bill, see, is Brandon Bright still on the line, Lavonia?
Right, all right then. So, Brandon Bright, question or comment, and thank you so very much for being patient.
Lavonia, this is Brandon. I have a comment. There's a lot that I heard today, and there's a couple things that I think needs to be said. You asked, should we be scared? I don't think we should be scared. I think we should be scared, and we should redirect our issues on gun control, because I think what we saw is that there's a couple things. I am a gun owner. I do believe in open carry. However, you can't take a gun into the White House. You can't.
Is Brandon still there? He cut out.
Can we hear Brandon?
I don't hear him.
Public will know once again. You know that we are all doing what the governor has suggested that we do to take care of our safety, our health, and that we are. Some of us are all of us are at home anywhere, including Montgomery, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, Detroit, Michigan, and Southfield, Michigan. So bear with us out there. Everyone wants to get on. Brandon, are you back with us?
I am back on. I guess the left doesn't want me to continue talking, but no. But seriously, what's interesting is you can't take a gun into the White House. You can't take it into the U.S. Capitol. And so I as a gun owner, I was shocked to know that you could even take an automatic weapon through open carry in a Capitol building or a school building. And so I think lawmakers have to make some real sound decisions of, you don't need a Tech 9 in an educational institution or in a state capitol building. The other part of this, though, that we have to remember is that, folks, this is America, which means that you do have the right to assemble, even if I don't agree. And I think that's the thing that we got to say is that whether you want to talk about messaging or you want to talk about the fact that, you know, African-American men did storm a Capitol 50 years ago, and as a result, they had gun control changes in the laws in California. And so I think we got to ask ourselves, the real issue is that when we talk about gun control, is it fair? You know, it is your amendment right to carry a firearm, but the reality, if you had 500 black people with Tech 9s that rolled into a state capitol, would they have got the same treatment? And that's a big question mark.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, they wouldn't have gotten the same treatment. And let me just say this very quickly.
Brandon, there's no question.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No question there. Absolutely no question. Right? We know that if one person, Black Brandon Rice, rolled up on 75 at East Jefferson and said he was on his way to the Capitol, he wouldn't make it off of East Jefferson. So we know that there's no question about how they would be treating African Americans. We are real. One thing for sure, we are all real clear on that.
But you know, here's the thing, Lavonia. I mean, we have to also remember that whether we like it or not, one of the things is, and I actually think it's an opportunity for Black conservatives to really start speaking. The fact that you have, I mean, the reality is the Confederate flag, whether you support it, whether you don't, whether you cover all Dixie or you won't, the reality is the South lost. So the fact that the South lost, if you fly the flag, it actually should be considered treason, whether you agree with it or not. The Confederacy lost the war. End of story. And so I think the challenge is that we got to have those conservatives, when they see things of, discrimination when it comes to gun control, Black Republicans should be speaking out. And I spoke on it on my show. When you see police discrimination, where the blatant evidence is pretty clear, once again, Black Republicans have a voice to speak out. I think that's the biggest, that's what we should be afraid of, not the fact that, regardless of if people want to protest, Lavonia, whether you like it or not, they have a right to do that. That's called
right. It's First Amendment. It's First Amendment. Right. Right. Right.
But the reality is, when the fact that, and I think this is a fair argument for gun control enthusiasts, for gun supporters like myself, when you're talking about the fact that you can't take a Tech 9 in the White House and you can't take a firearm in the Capitol, to me, that should be standard. And I'm not sure why that's not standard here in the great state of Michigan.
Right. Hey, Brandon, let me ask you a quick question. I want to ask Brandon a quick question before you leave. When you and I go back and forth a lot of times, Brandon, but I have mutual respect for you. Why don't you know more Black Republicans than I do? Why don't they speak out on issues like you just said they should speak out on?
So you know what, Lavonia and Michael, the challenge is, the Edward Brooks and
Senator Edward Brooks
and the Robinson, the Jackie Robinson, they're far and long gone. I am a unicorn when it comes to talking about issues that just make sense. I mean, the reality is, and I've always said this, is that Black Republicans, unfortunately, our issues are a lot different than our white counterparts. And I think we need to act as such, and so when Black folks get sniped in broad daylight, that should be a Black conservative issue. When gun control is not necessarily shared, where our white counterparts can go take pictures with state troopers, but we can barely hold the gun next to a Oakland County sheriff, that's a problem. And so I think that we've got to have that voice. And not just me, but all the conservatives that you got out there. I won't put them out there, but these are issues that matter in America. And I think that we got to also educate people that, what makes America great, in my opinion, is the fact that I can do, say, and talk and do what I say and what I feel like and be free. And so I'll give you a quick example. The lady who was in Royal Oak, who, when she went to the rally, and then the mayor of Louisville came and said he wanted her to resign. When it came to that issue, I actually stood up for that, because to me, the mayor should not have the right to tell you that you have to resign, because the bottom line is the people voted you there. Now, the other issue to that is that when you talk about, what's fascism, we've got to be very careful of that. Groupthink is a very dangerous thing, and it doesn't matter if it's coming from a Republican or coming from a Democrat. But the reality is people have a right to exercise what they feel. And the reality is that's what makes America great, not the current administration, what they say.
Brandon, you are absolutely correct on something, but let me put it this way. The reality of today, and the reality when my grandfather was alive and Richard's father was alive, at the end of the day, regardless of whatever title you may carry, at the beginning, you are a black man in America, and there has never been a day that you can get up in the morning and do everything that white guys can do. That is not true. That is not true.
No. And Lavonia, I'm not just, hold on, Lavonia. Not only do I think you're right, but the reality is we know that there's two sets of rules in America. So the challenge is, if we know that, then that means that black Republicans or black conservatives specifically need to have black agendas, not necessarily just conservative or Republican agendas. And that, you asked, Michael actually asked earlier, why is that not the case? Because very few black conservatives and black Republicans, especially those that are elected, the few that are elected to office, there's no black agenda. But then I can also go and say many of our black liberals fail to have a black agenda. So if we're not talking black issues, we're not talking.
Right.
And I agree with that. But it's bigger than the titles that we carry, the D or the R or C or progressive, whatever it is. I hope that people will understand that we have a life that is different, and I don't say that is right. I don't say that it's the way it should be, but I'm telling you what the reality is. When I look at that they were able, either the protesters or terrorists, were able to walk into a Capitol, Brandon, you were right. With guns, toted. We don't even know if they were loaded or not. Nobody even asked. No one even asked. There's no way that my brother or Brandon or Darwin or Michael could show up. I'm talking about you couldn't make it to the steps. We know that. So the question is, what do we do about it? Those symbols are messages that we're sending, not to the government, they were sending it to the mass, the people that look like you and me. That's part of what I'm saying is what is going on and how do we handle that? Brandon, I thank you so very much. You can stay on the line if you like, but we got about 18 other callers that I have to get to, and I want to get back to Michael. And if this is
because I have some more information for you.
Thank you so very much. You guys need to understand the Southern Poverty Law Center is a place that our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, really started with and learned all that she needed. And she says this all the time, that she needed to know to make a difference in her life and make a difference in our life. And we have another family friend here, attorney Bill Nose, who understands what the significance of the Law Center is. And you guys need to check out their website, really listen to what they're saying. They have been tracking and they're in the forefront of really handling the situation. Absolutely. So, Mrs. Brookside, if you're still with us, I want you to have some closing remarks before we go to break. All right. So she has had to leave. A Southern Sisters got things to do. This is 910 AM Superstation. My name is Lavonia, and you're listening to the Lavonia Perryman Show. When we come back, we're going to have David from San Francisco, Isaac from Detroit, Latrice from this area, and Deshauna. They're all going to be able to provide some information along with our very special guest, a researcher, a writer, and a historian. Michael Isaac is going to be back with us right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Lavonia Perryman Show, along with myself and Darwin Griffin.
All right, everybody, stand by.
I am Michael Garrett, CEO of CNS Healthcare. CNS Healthcare has been serving.
Stand by. Okay, we're on commercial break right now. Everybody stand by. I got to figure out how to. Stand by, everybody. All right, we're on break right now. Everybody stand by. Testing 1 2 3. Testing. 1 2 3. Can y'all still hear me? How do I monitor this? Testing 1 2 3. All right, let me see something here. Testing 1 2 3. Testing. Wonder how do I do this? All right, let's look at this here. Hold on. Testing 1 2 3. Testing. Can y'all hear me? All right, let me see something here. Okay, that's still going through. We got the reading enough. I do this. Okay, we're coming back. Still trying to get used to the technology here. Yes. Okay. because hate still prevails because people are miseducated. So that has.
Southern Property Law Center. Hello?
It's still here. Yes. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask her that one of the biggest problems I have that I blame some of this stuff on is for like All Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter. And what I have is a total disrespect for them because they jumped up and started talking about All Lives Matter, but I don't see that respect out there when it came to the police. And I believe that it shows that they are hypocrites when what they do. Because why is it that they're allowed to go out there and scream that stuff, All Lives Matter, but then when the white people go out there and complain, you don't see none of that consideration come up. And another issue I have, too, is with Trump. I feel Trump is nothing but an egotistical racist. And the only reason why he pushes these blames on Obama is because he wants to try to prove that he's better to his base, that he was better than a black man. And that's one of the biggest problems I have with him. And when you look at all this stuff...
Welcome to the world of reality. Welcome to the world of black and white. It's just unfortunate. Everybody. It's just that it's almost like a cloud that sits and hovers right over the world and is always there. And there are many good people trying to do the right thing, regardless of race, creed, or color, or religion. But then you got this cloud, and then you have these people who are in this cloud, and they're saying, no, we're not. We are the chosen few, the chosen few. We are not going to continue to accept that. We got to take another caller, Tashawn. I thank you so very much for giving us the information that you have. Isaac, you are the caller, and then we're going to get back to our very special guest who's going to make sure, and Darwin is going to give us a birthday greeting to a young man. All he was doing, Michael, as you know, was jogging. That's all he was doing. Jogging, unarmed, and guess what? Jogging while black. Jogging while black. Just think about that. Isaac, you have you're the last caller. Question or comment?
Yeah, I've got a comment for you. Hello, how are you today?
Well, I'm just fine. Thank you very much for being patient.
Thanks for letting me come on. We were talking about the symbols and what they represent and how we can react to them. The truth, what I feel is that